Hey, what's up YouTube? Glad that you're back. So Sal again. So today what I'm gonna do is basically reproduce the work that I've done before. So you've seen it in some of the other videos here on Unified Racing that basically I may or may not have stumbled across something that saves you a hell of a lot of money. What do I mean by that? Well, a few months ago, Deliverance had a alternator or battery issue. So when you see that infamous red battery light, cue Brad. So hopefully Brad will be able to put that into this video. Basically what happens is you're driving down the road, you get a red battery light. It typically means one of two things. Either A, your battery has taken a crap, or B, which we're really hoping isn't the case, you have an alternator issue. Now, granted, A, B, C, and D, or X, Y, and Z, there could be a ton of other things that it could be. However, two main components are up for question when that red battery light comes on your N55, N54 powered BMW. So Deliverance had that happen a few months ago. I didn't really think of it at the time, but now that I've done some digging online, it seems like this is a common issue, and there's a ton of people still posting about how do I get my alternator out. So let me quick give you a little glance here, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. So I already got some lights set up, I already got some tools set up. Again, I've already done this job, okay? So I didn't really think much of it. So in essence, what we're gonna need to do to even get to the alternator, right here, is we have to take this, your airbox out. If you have a factory airbox, all of this is gonna be pretty similar. Even on an N54, this may be similar. I did own an N54 as well, so we're gonna see what we come up with there. At the end of the day, I'm going to be taking some components out of here just to free up the alternator so you can see that, and we're going to do that in a minute. The end result is everywhere online says that you either have to take your oil filter assembly off, right, which you have coolant and oil. And so in my case, I had just changed the oil literally the day prior to me having an issue. So it was either take this off, and I told myself that I wasn't doing that, or if you go online, they tell you that you can take your intake manifold off. How about I help you guys out? Okay, so I haven't seen this posted online, and it's literally a game changer to save you, the customer, some of, this right here, right? So let's keep this in our pockets. Watch this video. We're going to show you how to save some money. All right, so before we get completely set up, rule number one, if you're going to be working with electronic components, the first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect your battery. All right, everyone knows that it's in the trunk. Well, maybe not everyone. So before you start doing some 12-volt welding, here, let me just show you. Okay, so you got your battery, you got your panel, right? So this panel just easily pops out. This is a 2011. This gets out of the way, and you're just going to want to take your negative terminal off, which is right here. Okay, breaks the circuit. No little zip when you disconnect the alternator, right? You're not going to think of it right away. Nonetheless, take your negative terminal off. All right, so it's really not to scare you. What the big thing is that we want to make sure that in the event that you didn't disconnect your negative terminal, what all that's going to do is, like, you have a ton of different circuits, right? This is a BMW. It's probably got miles and miles of wiring in it. So you don't want to fry out a fuse, you don't want to fry out something else. Just take your negative terminal off, save yourself some time. I myself didn't take it off the first time. I did some 12-volt spot welding, and then was really afraid when I hooked everything back up. So don't be like me initially. Just be smart, disconnect. All right, so hopefully you guys can see me. So basically what I'm gonna do now is we're just gonna get this area cleared up. So outside of the factory air ducting, I'm also gonna take out the intercooler piping. So I have an aftermarket intercooler pipe, which you're gonna need to take out of the way. You probably don't have to, but in this instance, we will. So without further ado, let's get to it. Little side note, they're going to talk about this piece right here. You really don't have to take this out, right? You don't have to take this out. So now at this point, you have a bunch of clips back here. Pretty simple to get off, but nonetheless. Okay, out. Okay, so if you see it, I had a little screwdriver. That's just for your intercooler piping, it just pops up. Okay. Or it'll do something. Okay, here's your T-map sensor. You want to make sure that you're not fucking with this too much. So this should be okay. So this is the upgraded T-map. Previous videos you saw that. So this my allows me to run larger boost. So nonetheless, that's out of the way. Okay. So now at this particular point, you can see that I had also taken this and loosened this up. For that, give you a little extra room, so we're going to take this boot off. Come here, baby. Come on. Okay. So at this particular junction, as you saw, that took me what, a couple minutes. So a couple minutes, then you get to your alternator, right? So your alternator, it looks like it would just pull right out. I mean, it really does. But it doesn't. And you have to tell yourself that every one of these manufacturers, BMW included, they're gonna do stuff to make sure that you have to go to them or spend just ridiculous money to have something so simple that it's right here and yet you can't get it out. Okay, so I'm actually going to grab the camera. I'm going to give you a little, I'm going to move the lights in a little bit more. I have this light. So we can see what we're working with. So let me grab this. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Your alternator is right on the top. You literally should be able to just pull this out. Except either on the front side or the back side or whatever, and I haven't gotten the belt off or anything like that yet. However, it's this right here. So this locks in to your factory air box, and if you buy an aftermarket intake, you still use the bottom side of the factory air box. So this little nipple right here, and to give you an example of how big these are, so here's another one, see how big this is. And so if you look at this one, you'll see how much I shaved off, right? Not much, just a smidge, okay? It doesn't go into the intake or anything like that. Literally, this amount of plastic is what saves you potentially from some of these posts I've been seeing. You know, some people are posting that, you know, you bring it to BMW, it's like a $2,000 job to get this out. So let's keep rocking. Let me get this set back up over here. So, and don't send me messages about how dirty it is. I know it's dirty. That'll be a future video. Okay, so now at this particular junction point, what we want to do is we want to start removing these 4 bolts that hold the alternator. Now before we do that, we have to basically take your tensioner pulley so we can get the belt off. Okay, so all these BMWs have these little fancy little plastic covers. You just get a flat blade, it'll just pop right out of there. Okay, it's down there, we'll get it later. So T50. So T50 for your tensioner. All right, so if you watch all these other videos, they're talking that you have to undo this, undo that. I mean, I'm just here to tell you that you don't have to do all that. I mean, unless you really want to. I mean, if you want to waste a bunch of time and stuff, more power to you. Sweet. Crank it to the right. As you can see, alternator is now off, right? Quite honestly, that might just be able to sit there. Okay, so most of the time when we look at metrics, you think that this is a 14 mil. It actually is, at least on my N55. These are a 1/2 inch. So there's 4, and you'll see that there's 2 long, 2 short. Get that intercooler pipe out, then you have all this room so you can work in here. And on this bottom piece, you can see that there's a bracket, like I don't know what that bracket may or may not have been to before. I don't have any use for it on mine. Nonetheless, you want to at least get the bottom 2 bolts out so you can access the plug. Right, this bracket blocks basically your terminal lead for your alternator. Okay, so you got a long, another long, and then you got your bracket below. Okay, so that's your bottom. All right, these are going to be much shorter. And then at that point, you also have this guy right here, which as you can tell is a round, right? It's not a socket. It's just basically a little plastic deal to hold it in there. So 13 millimeter. Just gonna get this piece off. Now again, if I didn't disconnect the negative of the battery, this is where it would become really, really fun, right? Once you peel this piece off, she would still be live, and you'd be doing some spot welding anytime you catch it. And on the back side, you also have this harness, which, if memory serves me right, there's a little spring clip on the bottom side of it, and that should pull right out, right? That's up. Now we just gotta get the top ones out. Top 2 bolts short, bottom 2 bolts long. Okay, so now at this point, right, we're all loosey-goosey up in here. I'm gonna have to move the light, move the camera a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when we talk about getting this puppy out of here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, so as you can tell, I have not taken this out, and I've not taken the intake manifold out. So this is concerning because you'd have to then drain radiator fluid, and there's a couple seals in here, so you replace those. Not that it's a really bad deal, it costs you not only time but money. Taking this out, then we're taking this whole panel out, and again, it's maybe only a couple bolts and a bunch more sensors and stuff like that. So either which way, so now we have the alternator, it's free in here, and you're like, okay, well, I can't. How do we get this out? So I can have a little better grip, I'm gonna put some gloves on. You ready for your exam? Okay, so as you can tell, it sits literally in this little flange in here. So you gotta kind of mess with it a little bit. And finally, what's gonna happen is, pick it up. There we go. So down here at the bottom, there's a flange that the bottom of the alternator sits in, and it sits in between your bracket that mounts it into the car. So right now I just pulled it up just a smidge here to clear that up. So now I have more play. So when you're gonna kind of move it a little bit forward. Oh shoot. Okay, you see that? So you pop the bottom piece out. I don't know about you, that took me next to no time. So let me just set this down. We gotta set this down right here. All right. There it is. Why is this important? By shaving this, so now let's just get in here real tight like, so you can see what I'm talking about. You see how long this nipple is. Well, it used to be all rounded, okay? So by shaving this down, it literally gives you enough leeway that once you pop it out of this bracket, right here, so you're gonna push it forward or kind of lean it this way to get this bolt hole just popped up just a smidge, and then it'll have enough play where you can just rotate it out of the car. Now, what I'm gonna tell you not to do, okay, so this is not important. This is almost like one of those design features that makes you have to bring this to a mechanic, because you're either gonna have to take your intake manifold off, and I'm sorry, it's dirty, or this off, dirty, as you can tell. So this doesn't get driven in winter, but hopefully that mouse won't be around anytime sooner. There's a little bit of blood on there, not for me. So the alternator's out. You don't have to spend all this money. All you have to do is shave this nipple, that's it. This nipple right here, you just shave that much off. So let's get a top view. Still functional, right? Still super sturdy, but I just shaved whatever that would be, 1/4 inch off. Okay, so now one little step of advice. Okay, when this happened, I was kind of like, I'm not taking this off, and I'm not taking this off. So I used something really stupid, right? I thought I had a Dremel tool. I searched around. I just moved into a new house a few months ago, and this is what I came up with. You gotta wait one for this. Okay, this right here is something that you use in your house, or for flooring, or for woodwork. Specifically when it has like a wood blade, okay? Not choice number one when you're gonna be doing that, especially because there's all these other wires and sensors that you could hit. Not to mention that this is pretty violent, so you may or may not cut yourself pretty bad, because once this finally lets loose and you break through, your hand, even while you're trying to guide it down, you're gonna try to protect all of these sensors and may or may not cut a finger off. I didn't cut a finger off, luckily for me. However, what I would suggest is that if you have a Dremel tool, okay, you can buy something like this, okay, with these cutting discs, okay? They'll cut through it like butter. They're way, way, way better, okay? So don't be like me. Now, be like me and save yourself some money, okay? I've looked at posts anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 for you to bring this to either an Indy or a BMW mechanic or BMW dealership, or whatever you want to say, $1,000 to $2,000 to literally get that alternator out. Because they're going to charge you for all new seals, new radiator fluid, or new coolant, new oil, new seals, plus all the labor to take all of these additional components off. And as you just saw it, I just took it out. I guess I don't wear a watch, but what, 15 minutes maybe, 20 minutes? I mean, I'll probably spend more time fishing the 2 little deals that I dropped down into my underbelly. It's going to take me longer to get those out than it is for me to pull this alternator out. This right here, I showed you the nipple. Like, if you have a Dremel, you're talking 2-3 minutes. You zip through, you get through that nipple, and then it's no harder than what you saw. All right, so Unified Racing, I really want you guys to do a couple of different things. If you haven't already, you need to like this video. You should be clicking on subscribe. You need to support your local racetrack. And with that being said, if you have not already, so this is our YouTube channel. As you can see, you can go take a look. You can watch our buddy Boyer along with Lauren Jones and his girlfriend. They went down to Cletus and Cars. Right? You can see the tuner that's in the BMW. You can see all the stuff that's going on with White Nightmare. You should really check that stuff out, okay? And for all of you thinking that my 3 Series was the only white car, there you go. There's proof that there's my Warsteiner 5 Series. Thank you very much, Kelm and Adam and Brad, for consistently bringing that up. Consistently, yes. With that being said, you guys have a great day. Next time, oh, hold on. I was almost done, but now I'm not really done. So Deliverance here, I did get a few new items for it. So let me just show you here. So these brakes, well, you know, they've seen better days. So one of the items I did get for it, going to be a future video. So I'll at least show you the future video. This is a non-turbo Supra engine that we're working on too. But nonetheless, these big pigs right here. So it's time to upgrade the brakes on the 3 Series Deliverance. That'll be a future video. There's no rush on it right now. It doesn't get driven in winter. But with that being said, now you guys, I'll talk to you on the next video.